Welcome back to Invisible UX. Thank you so much for your comments on my last video and your congratulations. I really appreciate it. Here I am, just about 3 weeks into the job, and it has been quite a journey. As with any job, getting used to not just the role, but the company culture, as well as your team. So let's jump straight into the comments. I've got several questions and comments on my last video. Um, so Kelvin Lee says, congrats, what is the title of your job? I'm so happy for you. Thanks, Kelvin, I really appreciate it. The title of my job is Lead UX Designer, which I'm very excited about. I'll be leading UX efforts for several products, as well as managing, you know, other UX aspects, UX roles on my team, like UI designer, UX researcher. So I'm very excited about it. Kelvin also, if you guys haven't seen Kelvin's video reaction to some of the Family Guy episodes, you got to check it out. It's pretty funny. Kelvin, I got a couple good laughs out of that. I appreciate it, buddy. Also, Kelvin, are you thinking about doing a career change or going into UX? All right, next one up. Shruti, I apologize if I'm not getting your name right. Shruti says, congrats again. Shruti's commented on some other videos. I'm happy to see you again, Shruti. Would love to continue learning about your experience on the new job, how much overlap there is with the skills you learned on Springboard and those you need on the job. Thanks for sharing your journey. Look forward to the next update. Thanks, Shruti. Again, I appreciate it. So how much overlap was there with the skills I learned on Springboard? In terms of technical skills, now keep in mind this is pretty early on in my job, but in terms of technical skills, the company I'm working with uses Figma as well as Axure. So Figma was an option to use for your some of the projects within Springboard. So with that in mind, I think that's great. They definitely taught a tool that is applicable to real-world UX. Now, I chose to learn Sketch while in the Springboard course. So before starting my job, I knew that they used Figma, so I spent a couple hours every day for a few weeks taking online Figma tutorials. There's a couple good ones through Udemy that I'll drop in the comments if you guys are interested. But really just focus and hustle on that so I at least know what I was talking about when I started the job. The company also uses Axure, which can be used for mockups, but it's primarily for prototyping. Definitely check that out. It wasn't really something that was mentioned. It might have been mentioned in the Springboard course, but it wasn't really focused on. But I think it would be good for future UX designers to learn it. It's actually pretty cool. That's Axure, A-X-U-R-E. Now let me take a look at your comments again. Overlap with the skills. In terms of collaboration, I think Springboard did a pretty good job of covering what collaboration is like in a UX role. So on my teams, I have tech, which is engineering, as well as product management. I also have business operations, or BizOps, which is the business entity that the product that is being developed is going to ultimately benefit. In addition to that, there's the users, the people that are going to be using the product that the BizOps team represents, that as a UX designer you conduct user research, user interviews with. So although there weren't too many tutorials or units on that, I think Springboard did a good job of providing a preview of what it's like working in an actual UX environment. And what I would suggest is just search YouTube. Hopefully I'm providing a lot of information, but there's lots of YouTube videos out there that talk about what it's like to work with other members of your team in a UX job. So that covers software, that covers the team environment. Yeah, I think something that's been a little surprising to me thus far is that the stage of the product that I'm working on, there's a lot more UX strategy than UX design, i.e., we're figuring out a different or better process for a user group to do something in, which doesn't necessarily involve visuals. It's just following steps X, Z, Y instead of X, Y, Z. So I will have more of an opportunity to utilize Figma and Axure down the road and do some design, which I'm, excited about. But keep in mind, there's a lot of non-visual strategy stuff, which still involves design. It's just not as visual. Okay. Got another message, just a hello from Teal Robotica. Remember to keep updating us on things. Helpful/insightful content. Crazy baby boy. Okay, thank you for that. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks. Good to see you again. And I think actually there's a comment and question from her down the road. So she says, after now completing the Springboard course and landing a job, what advice would you give to your former self as a student in the program? It's part one. Well, she goes on to say, I'm currently on Unit 14, and it's such a steep mountain to climb with lots of unknowns and challenges. Yes, it is. It's a very difficult course. Any best practices, tips, words of wisdom would be amazing. Okay, I don't know about wisdom. I'll try. That's a great question, by the way. Advice I would give my former self is don't focus just on one software for prototyping. In an effort to get through the program faster, because I was paying by the month, I chose to stick with Sketch for all of my projects rather than take a little extra time to learn Figma and other stuff. So I would say if you have the time, go ahead and learn multiple platforms. Sketch is important. Figma is very big. I haven't heard a lot about Adobe XD out there. I don't know if it's quite as widely used in the industry, but definitely learn a bunch of different programs. I think that's going to help you out once you get into an actual role, or even before that when you start applying for roles and they ask what you're proficient with. You don't have to do it while you're in the Springboard course. You can sign up for Udemy, which is, you can get courses with 40 or 50 hours of content for $15, $20. You have lifetime access to it. I would, there's a pretty high requirement for networking. I would actually network even more. And this is more in terms of the job search than being in the course. But don't wait to the job search to start networking. Network as much as you can. Try to carve out some time and balance it with the coursework. But the more people that are in your network, the more people can help you, point you in the right direction of your first role. So networking, learn lots of software as time allows, and take your time and really, really dig into it. Speaking of the software, I actually had a comment from someone I interviewed with at Dish Network, which was a pretty cool job. They wanted me to move to Denver, and I didn't. I like Brooklyn. I like my East Coast. But the design director commented that he really liked my visual design, and he could tell that it wasn't just used from a kit. And it wasn't. It's something that I put together myself. But I think that a lot of senior designers can recognize if you've used a kit, which is fine. But if you've put together a design system yourself, and it doesn't have to be a full, with components and everything, but put together, your own design, it will probably stand out a little bit more. Thanks, Teal Robotica. Okay, one from Jeff Visuals. Describe your first task as a UX designer and what does it entail you using the skill set for? So my first task, my first product is quite broad. It's actually fairly interesting. It's a product that so I work for a utility company, and if you live somewhere in the Northeast where there's lots of storms, especially in the winter snowstorms, there's a lot of power outages due to fallen trees, fallen branches, falling and, severing the wires. So this product utilizes artificial intelligence along with satellite imagery to predict what portions of a particular power line or more critical to trim. And at first I was kind of like, okay, it's trees and power, like big deal. But the implications are pretty big, especially when it comes to the West Coast and the wildfire season. This kind of platform can be used to potentially, ultimately save lives. So my role within the product has been to coordinate user research, um, assimilate the user research and turn it into actionable items, and compare the user feedback with business goals. So probably lots more to follow up with after the next couple of weeks, and I get deeper into it. But yeah, at a high level, that's what I've been up to in the projects. So that's going to be it for today, guys and gals. Thanks as always for watching. Drop any more questions or comments, in the comments section. Subscribe if you want. I'm not gonna, throw subscribe buttons all over the place. And look out, one of my next videos is going to be about why I decided to transition my career from architecture, buildings, traditional architecture, to UX design, which I think should hopefully be pretty interesting. So if you have any questions or comments about that, you know where to leave them as well. Take care, everybody.